friends of racing and entertainment. Welcome to another exciting live broadcast. I am Steve Stillman, and I will be your host today. We are here in a beautiful suburb of Johannesburg, South Africa at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. This is an evening race, and the low-rolling hills offer a scenic track and beautiful vistas. You should see the water tower here. It's the largest piece of art infrastructure I've ever seen. You can think of it as sort of an upside-down safety cone made out of concrete with open geometric shapes in it. It's stunning to see. Introducing our broadcast team for today, my co-host Jon Thornton, who has been here all weekend, is strangely absent today. From the pit area, Sarah Peterman, producer Ian Gill, and technical director and my nemesis, Richard Payne. Who highlights their own name? Come on. And at the last minute, in place of Jon, our producer found an author with a string of best-selling books. I am pleased to welcome to the broadcast booth, Jon Johnson. I know I messed that up. Our guest is Jon Ronson, who's the author of the book Men Who Stare at Goats. Welcome to the commentary box, Jon.
Hey, how are you?
I am healthy, breathing, and the bullies from junior high wish they were me now. How long have you been a fan of motorsport racing?
2 weeks.
Well, at least you'll be comfortable speaking in front of our audience. Offer any comments or questions you have that'll benefit the audience.
I was thinking this is an ill-conceived plan.
No, it'll be good for the audience to hear another voice once in a while. Looking into your career, what would you say you focused your work around?
So for 30 years, I'm writing about abuses of power.
Very interesting. Have you found any commonality in your research around these abuses?
They were all conspiracy theorists. That was what united the Ku Klux Klan with the Islamic fundamentalist group I hung out with called Al-Muhajirun.
Were you around these people much to actually study them, or is this all research from others?
I spent a lot of time with the Ku Klux Klan, for my book then.
Somehow I don't picture you and the KKK in the same room. It might be your lack of intimidating qualities that let them trust you?
I know I've got a kind of reputation for being a debunker of conspiracies, and the reputation is kind of warranted in most cases.
Weren't you also involved with an Islamic fundamentalist group?
Yeah, I became like their chauffeur. They said to me, Omar Bakri, the head of the group, said to me after a few months, I have let you into my life. I've given you much, I want something in return. So I was like, what? And he said, can you drive me to Office World?
Office World? Like to get office supplies? That doesn't sound very dangerous.
Out with Omar, he needs to buy some collection boxes for Hamas, he needs to be driven to the cash and carry.
That's not really the kind of trust test I would expect.
Yeah, like gay couple. I could have been like his toy boy.
I fear we're going to get it in the receiving end if we don't get on with the race. I want to mention the driver starting from last place had quite an afternoon in town yesterday, and, thus he missed qualifying. The driver is Filario Pacello Patino and drives the green and black Porsche. While driving to the racetrack, a dump truck plowed into several cars, including Filario's. I think we're watching the dash cam from the truck. He spent the afternoon in the hospital, but with some, they call them mild painkillers. He's here today racing. He'll have his work cut out for him coming from last place.
Oh, by the way, I was always disappointed when the Dukes of Hazzard was on TV.
Ooh, I feel like the spirit of randomness has entered the booth. What wasn't there to like about fast cars and silly plots?
Just because it wasn't as good as Wonder Woman.
Oh, you prefer the robust nature of Wonder Woman to the Dukes. Actually, she did investigate a lot of conspiracy theories, so I can see why that might pique your interest.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely there for a reason.
And here's the race's starting grid for today. Melekule Silver Cisse of South Africa, Daniel Dr. Bertrand of France, Rosa Baja Balcazar of Mexico, Tony Gray Gustav of Sweden, John the Shoe Smith of the United States, Jim Bronsberger of Canada, Tony Nice Guy Green of the UK, Ludo Knock Nichols of the Netherlands, Anna Zerwani Jankowski of Poland, and I believe Zerwani means red in Polish, Fernando Blanco Vasquez of Spain, Colin Fogg Freeman of the United States, Ignatius Red Reyes of the Philippines, Fernanda Ferra Silva of Brazil, she told me that Ferra means beast in Portuguese, Junior Black Balo of South Africa, Filario Pacello Patino, who was involved in that runaway dump truck incident. In the GT World Challenge, the cars use a rolling start, so they line up in a formation lap and get in the order by qualifying place. They'll all be going 43 miles an hour while they await the green lights to indicate the start of the race. I've just been given word that Tony Gray Gustav, starting from 4th place in the gray Lamborghini, drove ahead of the other racers and is driven straight into the pits. He was complaining about some bad locks or a stomach virus causing him to have violent diarrhea. Oh, wish him a speedy recovery.
And also what it is, it declares war on human nature.
Human nature? That's probably just Gustav's bowel, not all of humanity. Well, let's hope. As the cars round the last corner of their formation lap, we're just waiting for the lights to go green. The cars hold their position until they see the green lights.
I became completely drunk with my psychopath spotting powers. Like I went on a course to learn how to spot psychopaths, and I got so drunk with my psychopath spotting powers that I changed. And like my friends were saying to me, like, you really changed.
And the lights are green. The GT World Challenge at Kyalami Grand Prix circuit is underway. Right out of the gates, Balo of South Africa and the BMW from 13th place is past the Bentley of Silva. Throughout the pack and up front, the drivers are jockeying for position as they go into the first hard left turn. It looks like Balcazar muscled her way into second place, but the doctor's keeping her close.
So glad that we did this.
The doctors re-established second place, but not by much. I hope we get a replay of Black Balo in the number 82 car as he's now up into 5th place. And Patino from last place is up into 11th place. Coming down into turn 6, called Sunset, the leaders have gone into a single file procession, but further back we can see Jankowski under pressure from Red Reyes. Uh-oh, in the background I just saw car number 5 of Bronze Berger going off track. It looks like Berger's getting back onto the track, but he will definitely be in last place now. This is the replay from the start of the race with Balo dashing from 13th place. Pin my tail and call me a donkey. How does Balo's car show some energy stream behind him? And what's with all the sound effects? This is the work of Richard Payne. How does he keep his job? Nonetheless, Balo had a great start. It looks like Berger's off track again. Surely he has bent suspension parts or some other serious problem. I hate to see a driver who qualified 6th be out of contention so early in the race. Coming over the rise into turn 10, Berger's off again, but into the infield this time. What in the world? Did Berger just get flipped?
That is unbelievable.
I've just been told we're changing to camera EMS 3L. Unbelievable how far his car was sprung. Probably a good thing the EMS crew is right there to help as the car looks severely brutalized by those impacts.
Making other human beings our playthings.
Whatever. With lap 1 under our belts, we have seen some extraordinary events. Here we see Balo closing in on Smith at turn 2, but with a little love tap from Balo into the back of Smith.
The snowflake doesn't need to feel responsible for the avalanche.
Snowflakes, well, they are in the news a lot. With the mingling this close of so many cars, yeah, throwing a Bentley into the mix with these Porsches didn't turn out well for Reyes as he was hit behind and spun in turn 4 by the Bentley of Silva. Ooh, I guess she went beast mode on him. The number 913 car of Reyes is underway again on his own power. Patino's lining up the number 911 car of Jankowski around turn 13, known as the Crocodiles. Oh, but he's off after getting loose in the corner. Looks like he saved it, and he's only lost 2 places from his error. Maybe the pain meds have interrupted his usual focus on the race. Oh, we're just catching the end of Smith getting past Balo in the black BMW. If you remember from the previous race, Smith ran out of gas with 1/3 of a lap to go. His solution? Stop and pour some bourbon that he had in the car into the gas tank. Who has it in the race car? It provided enough energy to almost reach the finish line. It's good to see his engine was rebuilt, and he's doing well in this race. Little background on the race leader. Melikuli Silver Cisse's parents were killed in a freak water polo accident when he was 12. He and his sister went to foster care with a couple, and they had a son who's involved in karting. Melikuli not only liked driving the karts, but he also excelled as a driver. But his foster mom, Annika, always made peace between the boys. Here he is 6 years later driving an Audi on the racetrack and representing his country of South Africa very well. Riding on board with Balo in 4th place. Oh, great. There's another giant sponsor logo. It looks like it's pulsing or something. Whose logo is that anyway? I don't even recognize it. Audience, please comment below if you know who the sponsor is. Frankly, I'm surprised this lead pack has stayed so close for the entire race.
I think you're more likely to find psychopaths at the top of the tree than at the bottom because capitalism rewards psychopathic behavior.
Rarely does that come up in conversations, actually.
We were watching patiently for the right moment for Vasquez to make the pass on Smith to move into 5th place. I don't know, it might not happen.
I'm essentially a humorous journalist out of my depth.
Or it may, as Vasquez in the white Ferrari holds the inside line into turn 10. Nice. Looking further back into the race, we can see Patino chasing the Bentley of Silva. It looks like someone's shortcutting turn 9. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like that was the nice guy Green. He probably saw group cars coming and get out of their way. Looks like Patino was taking an aggressive line into the corner and Silva didn't see him there and spun around after the contact. She will not have kind words for Patino after the race. Now a word from this episode's sponsor. Your pet has needs. Some are primitive: food, shelter, companionship. However, as pet owners, there's an intense social pressure to have your pet spayed or neutered. In the past, specialized veterinarians would gladly perform the surgery for several $100s. But for the price of a bouquet of flowers from the grocery store, you can now easily afford to have your pet spayed or neutered. Introducing the Home Pet Sterilization Kit. In the comfort of your own home, where your pet is most at ease, you can remove the social disdain in as little as 2 minutes. Details below. Some animals require more time, so please allocate at least 60 minutes.
Have you got a contingency plan?
No, I'm sure the product will work correctly.
I do fear that, maybe there's 2 types of people in the world. Those people who favour humans over ideology, and those people who favour ideology over humans.
Great, my race monitors just stopped working. John, is yours working?
No, I think it's really bad. It's stressful.
Spineless rump bed mole Richard. Well, we're flying blind for the time being. John, so going back to your earlier comment about the KKK and white supremacists, how did you get involved with them?
Yeah, that was the first time I met Alex Jones. I went there with Randy Weaver. I became friends with the Weaver family.
Randy Weaver?
Ruby Ridge,
the family,
yes, the family white separatists. And so I got really friendly with Randy's daughter Rachel, and then I went with Randy to Waco. And Alex Jones, there was this kind of crazy man in Waco. And I was like, who the fuck is that?
That is quite a lot of anti-government characters you've hung out with.
I got on well with the Weavers, got on really well with Rachel's daughter. I visited Randy's cabin with Rachel, and another person who visited Randy's cabin was Timothy McVeigh, shortly before blowing up the Mirror building in Oklahoma City.
McVeigh was pretty angry with the U.S. government after that Ruby Ridge incident. He really went over the top on his retribution with such an evil explosion.
Secret inner evil.
His inner evil. I'd like to think my inner evil will, ignore a piece of trash floating down a river.
So Aryan nations, like pretty much every white supremacist, group in America, was heavily infiltrated by undercover officers.
The place
looks like the monitors are coming back to life.
But it's still a nice place to work. We're privately owned. We're run by this great, kind-hearted guy. Well, his mother actually owns it now.
What is this? Looks like an old TV show. I don't know. It looks vaguely familiar. Let me know in the comments below if you know what show it is. Cissay's dropping back. Wait, what happened to him? He's gone from 1st to 4th place in the blink of an eye.
I'm so sorry. Got thinking about how proud my mom, Anika, will be if I win the race, and I lost concentration.
With Dr. Bertrand now in the lead, I'll share his story with you as he related it to me. Bertrand had a problem. It was his auto repair business. He'd started at the tender age of 19 working alone out of a rented bay in a friend's garage. Over the years, he'd grown into 2 shops with 11 employees, but he yearned for more. So at the age of 38, the Chinon, France resident decided to go back for his bachelor's degree in business management. There's a wrinkle. After taking classes part-time over the next 5 years, Bertrand was told that he had to take a physics class to get his degree. The last physics class he had taken was in 12th grade. Daniel said he felt unprepared. Turns out it was the best thing that could have happened. That physics class rekindled the childhood dream that he had tucked away somewhere deep inside himself. He remembered this feeling of wanting to be a race car driver back when he was younger. Daniel told me, I kind of lost the dream somewhere through high school and through life. When you're young, you feel like you can be anything, and then the world teaches you a little differently. In 2019, at the age of 47, Daniel Bertrand became Dr. Daniel Bertrand with a PhD in physics. We know him as the doctor driver. He took a job in emerging technology at Spark Racing Technology and drives their AMG GT3 car to test the technology. Around the track, his fellow drivers never let him forget that he's the old man driver, as some of his jokes from the 80s don't go over so well.
As a journalist, the question that I love asking most is why? Because that opens doors. Why? And then you have to go somewhere else. But with labelling culture, including labelling culture on social media, it's like it closes doors. Labels close doors. Questions open doors.
Barely 2 seconds between the first and fifth places as Bertrand, Balcazar, Ballo, a lot of bees, Cisse and Vasquez all look for the slightest mishap from the cars ahead. Don't forget your home pet sterilization kit and your local Bed Bath & More to emancipate your pet's intense procreation needs. Your friend's leg will appreciate it. Act now. Hey, before I forget, I always ask my race analyst a word from the dictionary to see if he knows what it means. Do you know what the word xenomania is?
It's this kind of weird, overblown pageant.
No, it's an inordinate attachment to foreign things.
And there's the giant owl on the other side of the pond.
Owl? What does an owl have to do with xenomania?
Like, if you're worshipping a giant owl god, wouldn't all the regular-sized owls be like false gods?
I suppose regular owls would be false gods if you break it down that way. Here are a few comments from Twitter that our producer Ian Gill would like for us to respond to. How do you know if someone is hitchhiking or just complimenting your driving? From @RightThumb.
So all these amateur sleuths on social media thinking that we can spot somebody's true inner evil through a little bit of phraseology.
Sure. Is the best way to get into racing to have a lot of money or to move to Europe and work your way up through the racing ladders? @DriverWannabe. John? No, I'll take this one. I think both are probably really important if you want to drive like at the highest levels in Formula One. But other series like the GT World Challenge that we're watching, it sort of relates more to having a good network of people and having consistent driving skills. Find ways to get involved and meet people.
It all started with Justine Sacco. I wrote, there's a chapter in my book that defends Justine Sacco, who's the AIDS tweet woman.
Oh, that was a hot topic in the news. She tweeted something like, let me get this right. Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white.
I'm so happy to have done the Justine Sacco story in my book, and I had so much pushback, and each time I get pushback, I feel more and more happy that I did it.
Even though she created such a controversy?
The great thing about social media was how it gave a voice to voiceless people.
Technically, as a comedian, she already had a voice.
That's exactly what Justine Sacco was doing in that joke. She was acknowledging her own privilege and then mocking it by doing a kind of grotesque version of it. And the only difference between Justine and Randy Newman was that Justine just wasn't any fucking good at it.
Hold that thought. That was such a spectacular finish. Hats off to the concentration of those drivers at the front of the pack. None of them wanted to give up an inch in those last 2 laps.
Social media public shamings are so traumatizing to somebody on the receiver. The people doing the shaming, they don't want to think that. They don't want to think that they've just potentially done something intensely traumatizing to another human being, that mangled up somebody's mental health. So they just think, oh, I'm sure they're fine.
A little further back, we can see a great drive from Patino, having come from last place and on pain meds to finish 7th. The last close racing is from this group as they round the last few corners here. It's going to be close. There have been a lot of epic battles and spins from this group. And like that, we have another incident. Let's see who winds up worse for this incident. It looks to be the Porsche of Reyes as he desperately tries to get his car started again. On the podium today, in first place is Dr. Daniel Bertrand of France. Second place is Rosa Baja Balcazar of Mexico. And the impressive drive from near last place to third, Junior Black Ballo of South Africa. Congratulations to them and the rest of the drivers. Audience, in the comments below, be sure to vote for who you thought was the driver of the day. This concludes our broadcast for today. John, thank you for filling in for my absent coworker. Have you enjoyed your time?
No, fuck off.
Whoa now, let's not take it personally. You had to enjoy some of your time.
Become really good friends with Rachel, who's Randy's younger daughter, who was in the cabin for all of that time. And in the end, the government admitted responsibility and paid each of Randy's daughters $1 million each.
I suppose it's good restitution for the over-the-top violence that went against that family. As a little self-restitution and as a final thought, I'd like to share this with the audience. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears, your actions louder than your words, and your faith stronger than your feelings. Until next time, we're out of here. Malachi Silver. No, it's not his name. Here's our ad spot number 2. Oh, no, I don't need to say that. No, it's an inordinate. Oh, it's an inordinate. Oh. No, it's an inordinate. I should have that in front of me. Car of Bronze Burger off his track.